As we drove deeper into the heart of Georgia, the familiar cityscape gave way to rolling hills and towering pines. The further we went, the thicker the forest grew, swallowing the road in shadows. I could feel the tension in the back seat melting away as Seth, Keisha, Jamal, Latoya, Darius, and Maria took in the sights with wonder. The board wasn't happy when we presented the idea for this trip, but Eli and I fought hard to get the funding approved through the Inner Cities Youth Initiative. These kids, they needed to get out of the city and into nature. Eli grinned as he drove, his knuckles tight on the steering wheel. He knew exactly where he was taking us. It was his family's old hunting cabin, nestled deep in an untouched stretch of wilderness. The kind of place where the trees whispered secrets and the night never felt empty. We unloaded our gear and got to work setting up camp. The cabin stood weathered but sturdy, its dark wood blending into the forest like a natural extension of the trees. The kids ran through the underbrush, their laughter breaking the heavy silence of the woods. As I showed them how to identify animal tracks near the creek, a strange unease settled over me. The prints in the soft earth told familiar stories. Deer, raccoon, fox, but something else was there too. Something massive. I kept my thoughts to myself, brushing it off as an old hunter's paranoia. And as dusk fell, Eli got the fire going. The kids took turns mimicking bird calls, their whistles and rattles echoing through the trees. But then, something whistled back. Not quite a bird, not quite human. The fire crackled. I caught Eli's eyes. He'd heard it too. We spent the next morning learning survival skills. How to find edible plants, purify water, and read the land. The kids were engrossed, but my mind kept drifting to the woods, to the feeling of being watched. That afternoon, we hiked deeper into the forest. The air felt different here, thicker, charged with something unseen. Jamal stopped mid-stride, his breath catching. "What's that?" he whispered, pointing ahead. A footprint, enormous, pressed deep into the earth like a warning. Then came the howls, long, guttural, and unnatural. They rippled through the trees, setting the forest alive with an eerie chorus. The kids huddled close, their excitement turning to fear. Eli's voice was low and firm. "We need to go, now." We woke to find massive footprints circling our campsite. The fire had burned low in the night, and the woods felt different. No birds sang, no insects buzzed, just silence, heavy and unnatural. Something had been watching us, studying us. Determined to keep our spirits high, we took the canoes down the winding creek. The kids paddled, their laughter bouncing off the water. For a while, it felt normal, safe. Then we saw it. A colossal figure stood on the bank, half shrouded in moss and shadow. Its dark eyes locked onto us, filled with something ancient, something wounded. The air turned electric with its presence. Then it moved. The creature let out a guttural roar, a sound so deep it rattled my bones. It charged into the water, sending waves crashing against our canoes. The boats tipped, plunging us into the icy current. Chaos erupted. The kids screamed, their paddles lost to the rushing water. Eli and I fought against the current, guiding them to shore. The creature thrashed, its massive form stirring the creek into a frenzy. It wasn't just attacking, it was trying to warn us, to drive us out. Then it came closer. The water frothed around it, its powerful strides cutting through the current. I locked eyes with Eli, unspoken words passing between us. We had to move. Now! I grabbed Keisha by the arm, pushing her toward the bank as she fought against the pull of the current. Darius was sobbing, his legs barely kicking against the surge. Jamal's hand slipped beneath the water, and for one heart-stopping moment, I thought we had lost him until Eli lunged, dragging him back up, gasping for air. The creature loomed above us, inches away. I could smell the damp earth and musk of its skin, see the gleam of its teeth as it let out another soul-shaking roar. A massive hand struck the water, missing Maria by inches as she shrieked. We scrambled, lungs burning, bodies aching, clawing our way up the muddy bank. The moment my feet hit solid ground, I yanked Eli up beside me, adrenaline surging. The kids collapsed in a trembling heap, eyes locked onto the water. For what felt like an eternity, the beast stood there, watching us from the shallows. Then, with one final guttural sound, half warning, half something else, it turned and disappeared beneath the dark water. I knew then that this trip would be one they'd never forget, but not for the reasons I had intended. As we packed up to leave, I felt it again, that gaze, watching, waiting. As we drove away, the kids spoke in hushed voices, their eyes still wide with wonder and fear. Bigfoot wasn't just a legend anymore. It was real, and it was out there. But beyond the terror, I hoped they'd remember the good parts too. The joy, the laughter, the thrill of discovery. Because sometimes, even when faced with monsters, there's beauty to be found in the great unknown.